So here we're going to talk about the process video for this painting. Everything I do, I like to start with simple basic shapes. Square, circle, triangle. You don't have to stick to those shapes, but you bend them and push them to proportions that work the best for you. Here, like usual, we're laying in the flats, the whites of the eyes. It's a lot of times a lot grayer than people think it's going to be. They're not that bright and vibrant. So really pay attention to that. You can see we're just quickly laying in everything. I get rid of the outlines here. I love this stage because I can start feeling it more like a sculpture. Even putting that drop shadow in there, that feeling of, oh, that feels correcter. It's dark, but it's a little cooler. Now we're capping that hair on and we're tying it in on the sides there, you might have noticed. So it really sits on the cranium. And now I'm knocking that ear back a little bit more, pushing that hair to be a little squarer in the back and tucking the hair behind the cheek in the front right there. And adding a little more saturation in that Terminator line. That's where the shadow's starting and the light's coming and bouncing around in the warm, blood-filled flesh, and it's making it more red and saturated right there as it falls off into shadow. Here we are making sure everything reads cleanly and flows into each other. So I just adjusted that corner of that eye, put that sharper shape. It abruptly changes into the cheek right there. Pushing the drop shadow a little bit more on the background to really make it pop and come forward, smoothing out all the textures on the skin. Still bouncing my eye left to right to make sure everything reads. Here, adding the signature. I always think of my mom. She says, "Did you sign it?" And I never did. So I feel embarrassed still signing my signatures, but I try to make them fun and different every time. Still pushing the face around, always trying to find what's more appealing in hopes that next time I get there quicker, but always in service of the piece of art. It's like you drew it, you created it, you're allowed to push around. Everybody pushes things around these days. I say go for it, liquefy, start over, move a chunk over. You're trying to get to something beautiful at the end, and that's really what matters. That's what this is all really about, is expressing yourself and having fun with it. Not really worrying about what other people think, because you can be popular and get caught up in what they think too. So here I just adjust the edges of that backdrop. I put stripes on her jacket a little bit more. I think everything's really starting to read well and flow into each other. Everything has a 1, 2, 3 read. There's a highlight, a shadow, and a midtone to every single thing. So you can tell which way they're going in space. That's what I really enjoy doing. I'm adding some blemishes, some freckles on now. Just give it a little more character, a little more personality and life of its own. And also to mimic that life's not perfect. People aren't perfectly skinned. We all have different shades and things on our skins. I always like to bring some humanity into whatever I make. Here I'm defining the keystone on the forehead a little bit, into the bridge, into the nose, making sure those are clear shapes, clear and defined of what's happening in space that probably isn't what would happen in reality, but I'm trying to service the viewer. I will go in and intentionally make things clear or have a clearer separation or corner on them so you can easily see it and understand what's going on. And that's been an ongoing struggle of mine, to break away from reality and understand the physics and math of everything that's happening enough that I can recreate it on my own. That's the fun of it, being able to recreate form, fake form in a 2D way and really understand what you're doing and not be lost in faking it, but actually understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So here we're getting to is the end, just polishing everything up, little pushes and pulls. I add a background color that is complementary to that backdrop thing. Here we add that rim light in that really pulls it off. I started with a purple, but when I made it more like the backdrop, I feel like it got a lot more suspense and drama with it. If I want to know what's going on, or it feels more cinematic to me. I knew I was did all I could do. If you notice, the jacket too is a little purple because that's how those colors were combined on the collar. Smudge up the edges, give a little more painterly effect. Here's the final image. I'm really happy how it turned out. I hope you are too. I love the brushwork. I love seeing the canvas come through. And thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you.